if KD doesn't play, I don't know if you have the same feelings I do. I think this potentially could be a winnable series. The Warriors are obviously the favorites without Kevin Durant. With Kevin Durant, I don't think the Raptors have a chance. But without KD, I think the Raptors can pull this off. Do you?
Well, I think the best team in the NBA, throw the records out, throw the regular season out, the best team in the NBA is the Warriors with Kevin Durant healthy. I think the second best team in the NBA is the Warriors without Kevin Durant. And so do I think their odds are much better? For sure. And do I think it's a long, tough series? Yes. But I certainly think that Kevin Durant makes them an appreciably better basketball team. Anyone who is online saying, oh, they're better without him is just not paying attention, not watching. But I do think they have a shot. And even if KD comes back and he's not right, he's not himself, I think that gives Toronto a chance. Outside of the first year the Warriors won a title when everything was new and they didn't have this experience, this is the most vulnerable they've been. Yeah, they ran through Portland and they ended the Rockets series nicely, but they struggled at times throughout the Rockets series, and the Clippers took not one, but 2 games off of them in comeback fashion. So I do think, sans Kevin Durant, this Toronto team, the way they're playing, has a chance to make the finals interesting. And when's the last time we could honestly say that? The last time was when the Cavs were 3-1 down and LeBron James brought them back by himself.
Do we see OG this series? And if so, how big of an impact can he come after that 3-week layoff?
I certainly hope so, because he would be desperately needed, especially if Kevin Durant comes back, because he gives you some length and some defensive versatility. Even if he comes back, I think his minutes will be extremely limited. You're looking at someone who will give you maybe 10, 15 in spots and not the 20 or 25 that he would have given you if he was in the rotation. I more so want to see him come back because I feel so bad for him. He's had a tough year. He's had some family struggles. He was just getting his rhythm back going into the playoffs, and then an emergency surgery the eve before the playoffs were to start. But we've seen, as the playoffs have gone on, Nick Nurse tried to fill those minutes with some guys off the bench. Jody Meeks was getting regular minutes just to keep his rotation the same. And by midway through the second round, Nick Nurse is like, I just got to trust the guys I have. And if that means I'm playing fewer and fewer guys as we progress, that's fine. And so we saw at times 7, at max 8 players being played by the Raptors, and Steve Kerr in this last series was going 11, 12 deep. So another body certainly would help, especially if Danny Green decides that he's just not going to be able to find the stroke once more. Another wing defender against Golden State who is happy to play lineups where everyone is 6'8" and under would be vital for Toronto.
Donnovan Bennett's the host of Free Association, the Raptors and NBA podcast for Sportsnet. He's a digital host joining us here on The Blair Show. Anthony and George on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Injuries, Boogie Cousins is questionable for Game 1. He hasn't played in a few weeks. How effective is he going to be? He's a guy that it'll clearly be something because he won't be in game shape. Could that potentially maybe be an advantage for the Raptors if he does play, because they'll try to get it to him in the post? And is that maybe good for the Raptors because Marc Gasol will be on him?
Yeah, stylistically, I think Boogie Cousins, even though he's a great talent, helps Toronto because he gives you a reason to play Marc Gasol more minutes, and he gives you a reason to play Ibaka and maybe Gasol together. Without Cousins, you're looking at centers like Kevon Looney, someone who is happy switching on the perimeter. And so I think Toronto will be forced to go super small. Steve Kerr is happy to play Jordan Bell, Kevon Looney, even Draymond Green, lots of minutes at the center position. Those guys are glorified power forwards. So if Cousins isn't playing early in the series or at all, it's tough for Nick Nurse to roll out Marc Gasol for long stretches because we know Golden State will bring your center into pick and roll after pick and roll after pick and roll and force them to cover Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on the perimeter. Not a recipe for success. So the biggest shot hit against Toronto in the playoffs was DJ Augustine getting Marc Gasol in a pick and roll and burying a 3 to win Game 1. If that's what DJ Augustine did in a high-leverage situation, what's Steph Curry going to do? So certainly, in a weird way, DeMarcus Cousins, who hasn't played for a couple months and really hasn't played a full season, him being in the lineup helps Toronto because it allows Gasol to stay on the floor and gives him a like big to bang against.
We're 10 minutes in, and we haven't mentioned the name Kawhi Leonard, and clearly he's the best player heading into this series right now on the planet. We saw what the Warriors did to the Blazers in the Western Conference Finals. They doubled Damian Lillard. They trapped Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Do you anticipate the same game plan for Kawhi Leonard? And if he does, that just make Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry even more crucial for the Raptors because they'll have to pick up the slack scoring-wise?
Yeah, you're totally correct, and it's not dissimilar to what Philadelphia did in terms of doubling Kawhi, but where the double happens is important. It's almost like a great football receiver, Randy Moss in his prime. You can double him. You could have someone at the line of scrimmage and then have some safety help behind him, but he's so great. He's not really bothered. He knows that he's going to win his one-on-one matchup at the line of scrimmage, and then once you're behind him, it's one-on-one with the safety. And in a weird way, Kawhi is not really bothered by the double, especially if it comes early, because he has enough confidence in his first step, assuming those legs are healthy, he's had 4 days to rest, that he's going to blow by the primary defender, and then he's one-on-one with the help defender. And on his biggest shot in the postseason, that 4-bounce buzzer beater, that was the case. Ben Simmons had him, blew by him, and once he was past him, he was basically rendered useless. And Joel Embiid, even though he made it tough, and even though it was an improbable shot, Kawhi got to his spot, got to a place on the floor that he practices often, and went into his routine, got into his bag, and made a shot. So Golden State could double, but unless they're doubling with length and doubling basically early as soon as he crosses half court, I don't think it's going to affect him. Milwaukee tried to pack the paint, and they didn't double. They didn't necessarily put Giannis on him in high-leverage situations. That was a mistake. I think we're going to see a lot of Draymond Green taking him to start and then saying, we trust Draymond as a defensive player of the year candidate to handle him. We'll double late at the rim, but we want to stay home on all those shooters and make it difficult for Fed VanVleet and Marc Gasol and eventually Danny Green and Norm Powell to get in rhythm and hit shots from beyond the arc.
Obviously, things change throughout the series, but who do you anticipate Kawhi guarding at the beginning?
So it'll be really interesting. When we look back to Kawhi with the Spurs, and remember the last time he faced the Warriors in the playoffs, he was limping off the court with a 20-point lead because he was playing so well. He took Steph in many situations, and you're never going to stop Steph, but you're really going to bother him, and that length could bother him a bit, especially with Kevin Durant out of the lineup. I think you're going to see him on Steph early and often. And again, he went on Kevin Durant, and they went shot for shot in the first game throughout the regular season. It was one of the best games in the regular season. But Golden State's offense is predicated on Steph Curry. He is the engine. And whether you're double-teaming him, he's passing to Draymond, and he's their assist leader and making plays downhill. Or when you're not double-teaming him, he's killing you and running off of a bunch of screens and creating havoc on both sides of the court. We saw what Kawhi did to Giannis. Even if you get to your shot, you just feel bothered. You're never comfortable. And I wonder if they try and take Steph out of his rhythm, playing the best basketball, I think, of his career coming into this series, better than his unanimous MVP year. I wonder if they put Kawhi on him early just to bother him a little bit and give him some extra length to think about.
Danny Green struggled against the Bucks. Do they really need him going into this final series here? I know he's shooting 32% in the playoffs, but he is 52% in 12 finals appearances, and I think he was at 52% against the Warriors this season also.
Yeah, they really do. And the two games against the Warriors came early in the year, but he did such a great job in transition, both offensively and defensively. In transition, getting back and matching up and taking away those fast break opportunities from Golden State, and in transition offensively, being a trail guy on the break that Kyle Lowry could push the ball to and push it to him, and he would hit those trail threes. And he's not hitting any threes. He's 0 for his last 8 right now, really struggling, really looking to find his shot, and the body language isn't great. And as a former athlete, so much of it is mental, right? Your physical ability takes you so far, but really you need to kind of get over the hump mentally, and that's why you just want to see one go down for him. Even if he gets to the line early in game 1 and sees the ball go through the basket, that could do wonders. We saw what it did for Kyle Lowry when he was struggling early in the playoffs. For VanVleet, obviously, has bounced back from his struggles. Green is the next guy because Milwaukee's offense, although potent, was limited. If Giannis wasn't scoring or creating for others, they didn't really have another card to play. That's not the same with Golden State, whether it's Clay or Steph or Draymond. You have so many guys who can facilitate offense for themselves and for others. So you need Danny Green to be able to be firing on all cylinders and going shot for him. And I credit Nick Nurse for sticking with him and saying, listen, man, you got us here, and if we're going to win, you're going to have to be a big part of it.